You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
Now, the Arkansas Razorbacks have dropped their third straight game on the road at Mississippi State. They lost 40-17, and just starting it off with the defense for Arkansas, it was a very, very rough day defensively. Arkansas ran a three-man front the last two seasons against Mississippi State, and it worked. They did a three-man front, dropped 8, and it worked perfectly. So you go into this game with the same idea, same scheme, and you apply it. And then you watch the results. At the end of the first quarter, Mississippi State was up 14-0. With about 5-6 minutes into the second, it's 21-0. And Arkansas doesn't make any adjustments. They run with a three-man front the entire game, and Arkansas had 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. First time since, I think, 2016. Arkansas has not got a tackle for loss. It's very understanding why Arkansas went with a three-man front, given the previous success that Barry Odom had against Mike Leach's air raid. But then the decision to not change anything and keep going with that, I think, is questionable. And Arkansas's defense this season has been very bad, and it started off with the secondary kind of falling apart in the passing game. Arkansas was letting up a lot of long touchdowns in the passing game, which resulted in the rankings going very far down low. And now Arkansas's gotten to the point that guarding short, middle range, long passes is all difficult. Protecting the run has been difficult. It has been a lot harder for the offense, too, because the defense has just not been there to, support them. Will Rogers for Mississippi State was 31 out of 48 with 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did have 0 interceptions, and something that was very frustrating with the Arkansas secondary was Arkansas had 3 or 4 dropped interceptions in this game, and Arkansas could have got easy takeaways, stopped Mississippi State from driving down the field, and gotten the ball and had a chance to score, and they weren't able to do that. Mississippi State's rushing game was actually highly successful, something that Mike Leach doesn't really use that much. 4.7 yards per carry for 37 carries. Huge game from Marks. He had 16 attempts on the ground for 52 yards and 11 catches for 80 yards. Involved a lot in the short passing game. Overall, the defense, the struggles against Alabama were the struggles in this game. Nothing really changed when it came to that. It was kind of the same problems we've seen this whole season with the secondary and everything. And at the gist of it, Arkansas secondary is just beat up. Miles Slusher did not play this game. Brini played this game injured. Bumper Poole has been playing injured with a hip issue. Arkansas's secondary is very injured. I mean, if you told me before the season that Bishop would have been out for the season, Catalan out for the season, and Miles Slusher is dealing with his second injury in 5 or 6 weeks, I don't think I would have predicted it to be this bad, but the injuries are unpredictable, and, they happen, and they have really, really hurt this Arkansas defense. Now, Bumper Poole did move up to the University of Arkansas's first-time spot in tackles. He had 14 tackles in this game and is now the all-time leader at the school, so congrats to him. Very well earned on that one. Drew Sanders had a big game, 16 total tackles with 1 pass deflection and a QB hurry. He's always playing well out there. The rushing 3, dropping 8 didn't work against the air raid, and that was the scheme that we had prepared. And Arkansas obviously has struggled in man coverage, so you opt to have a couple more guys in the secondary for zone coverage, and it still doesn't work. Arkansas's tackling has contributed in that. The defense right now is just struggling with the injuries, and the bye week can't get here soon enough after the BYU game. KJ Jefferson did make the trip to Mississippi State, but he was unavailable. He's dealing with a head injury. Cade Fortin got the start for the Razorbacks, and he was 2 for 8, 8 yards, 1.3 average yards per attempt. When he was in the game, the offense just simply was not effective. There was multiple times on RPOs that delayed handoffs, passes were just inaccurate, and overall he just struggled to run that Briles RPO style of offense. And given the performance that he had in this game compared to Malik was 8 out of 17, not a huge good number there, but Malik did have 234 passing yards for 1 touchdown, did have 2 interceptions. Malik also had 8 carries for 114 yards, and the offense was overall moving a lot smoother. Offense totaled 483 yards, and a lot of those, if not just probably 90%, I would guess, were with Malik Hornsby at quarterback. I think the number one thing you can really question and not understand is why was Fortin getting time over Malik? I don't understand that. Sure, it's given practice and everything, because how do you go off game results when neither of the guys have really played any valuable reps this season? But Malik Hornsby looked like 10 times better than Fortin. And I guess that's just a practice decision. But not only that, Fortin was in the game. Malik comes in. Malik has a good drive, then leaves with an injury, and then he comes back on a 3rd down to lead the offense. I mean, if we're playing 2 quarterbacks the entire time, it wasn't going to work out well, and we ended up going with Malik for the rest of the game. But I think it's pretty clear that Malik Hornsby is QB2, and if KJ can't go against BYU, it will be Malik Hornsby. Malik in the passing game had a lot of really long completions, had a long touchdown throw to Bryce Stevens, long throw to Hazelwood. He was overall able to sling the ball out. I think the 2 interceptions did come from a bit of, just desperation, trying to make things happen when everything is kind of blown up on the play execution, and then you're also facing a huge deficit. Same thing with the high amount of incompletions. Arkansas's rushing game was 44 carries for 241 yards, 5.5 yards, which is pretty good, but then when you're trailing the whole game, how much can you truly run? Malik had a 52-yard carry, which is probably the longest carry from an Arkansas quarterback since Jones back in the day. Rocket had 20 carries for 86 yards with 4.3 average yards per carry. In the receiving game, Hazelwood, 3 catches for 113 yards. He had a really nice 60-yard catch from Malik. Stevens, 2 catches for 59 yards. First ever touchdown as well. Rocket Sanders with 4 catches, and then Jackson with 1. Arkansas only had 10 catches as a team. The offense was able to get 483 yards and was 50% on 3rd down, but then Arkansas had 3 turnover on downs on 4th down, 2 interceptions, which kind of contributed to the low amount of total points, only 17 points on those high marks. Arkansas also had 10 penalties, which was killing them. Arkansas also lost the time of possession battle, 35-41 for State, and then only 24 minutes and 19 seconds for Arkansas. With Malik, I saw a lot of promise, but then we've kind of seen the mistakes that he's had been reported on in practice with the, some desperation interceptions and things like that. And then also, kind of what we saw against A&M last year, where priority is going to be running the ball. And Arkansas's offense has always been that way, especially under KJ Jefferson and Kendall Briles of running the ball. But I think it's prioritized a little bit more with Hornsby in there. There was a lot of promise I saw from Malik, though. I thought, especially in the second half, he made some nice throws to Hazelwood, to Landers down the field. Had some nice throws in there to, not have us completely out of this game at all times. For special teams, it was nice to see Cam Little have a 51-yard field goal, tied his career long. He was 2 for 2 on extra points and had 5 total points. Now, something we did see change for special teams was Reed Bauer came in for Max Fletcher. Fletcher had a 25-yard punt to start the game, and then the decision was made to switch to Bauer. Bauer had 3 punts for a 46.3 average yards per punt and a long punt of 53 yards. I've thought throughout the season that Bauer should have got this opportunity sooner, and it's a little bit frustrating it didn't happen. Going forward, I think Bauer will be the starting punter. I mean, during the offseason, yes, Fletcher won the job, but when you go by game results every week and Fletcher's not performing that well, I think you have to give Bauer a shot in game, and based off the performances in game that we've seen from Bauer and Fletcher, I think that Reed Bauer will be the punter for Arkansas going forward. Now, this game was a tough loss, and there's a lot of negatives to come out of it. I don't think this season is over. There's still a lot of hope for this Arkansas team. There's just a lot of injuries too, and something that the bye week really helps with is injuries. Arkansas is going to get a weekend where they won't have to play anybody, and they'll also be able to get a lot of guys back from injuries. Like KJ Jefferson's injured, Jaden Hazelwood's playing with a shoulder injury. I believe it's an AC joint issue. Bumper Pool's playing injured with a hip issue. Breeny's been playing injured for a couple weeks now. Miles Slusher's injured. Ladarius Bishop's been out for the season. Jalen Catalan out for the season. Arkansas's overall just banged up in a lot of position groups and needs the rest. When you're playing a very tough and physical schedule, you're playing A&M, Bama, Cincinnati, a lot of these various top 25 teams that we've seen in the rankings all season, they're going to be very physical, and injuries are just a part of the game of football. At BYU is going to be a tough game. Arkansas is about 2 or 3 point underdogs right now, but I do believe it's winnable. And Arkansas still has a trajectory to get to a bowl game. Arkansas is sitting at 3-3 right now. They can sneak off a win at BYU. That's 4-3, and then they've got another non-conference game against Liberty. And then some other SEC teams, Mizzou, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss. Lots of hope left for this Razorback football team. This season is not a wash by any means. At the halfway point, sure, some Hog fans might be disappointed with the defense. If Arkansas can get healthy during the bye week, get things turned around on defense, that'll be crucial in the Hogs' success. You can't have a bottom 10 defense the whole season. And that's all for today's episode. On Wednesday, I'll have a preview of the Hogs traveling to BYU, so make sure to check it out then. Signing off for now, though. Woo Pig Suey.
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hog Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hog Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!